Every charity has to consider not just what their core value is and what they're trying to deliver, but how they're going to fund it. And unfortunately in our world, money is a very big part of what we do. Right back in the beginning, it was all grant funding. Everything we did was about filling in those funding application forms. But back in 2005, we were approached by a large funder in Birmingham working with children and asked us to run a mentoring program for those who had complex needs. And so we said, yes, how long's it for? And they said, oh, we'll just keep funding you because we think what you're doing is fantastic. So we started working with children with complex needs, and we employed people who could go and do the support for them. But after 3 months, the fund had its own challenges and it stopped. And the fund said, sorry, we can't fund you anymore. So we had to go back and tell all of those children that their new friend who they'd been building that relationship wasn't coming back. That was absolutely heartbreaking for me, more so for them. And I vowed then that we would never be reliant on fundraising, on grant income generation in order to be sustainable. So I came back to the staff and I said, okay, what skills have we got? What have we got that we can sell? And we decided that we were going to start businesses, and we started 3 businesses at the same time. Just shows you how little I knew about business. And over the years, 14 businesses have come and many have gone in order to try and generate the income that we need to keep Free at Last going. Using the skills of the staff team, the people that we have, is how we've grown and chosen what businesses to do. And so 3 of those have been around multimedia. And Free Speech was the first one. Then we moved into Free Spirit Media, and then we had Fat Media as well. So some of the products that then went on to become more income generating included doing some condom packets for the teenage pregnancy unit, which was about helping young people to gain and keep information. But also is our Little Issue magazine, which was a magazine for teenage parents, and we did 4 editions of these, the latest having 10,000 copies distributed across the country. Dads Do It Too started providing training courses around the country for other people who wanted to be involved. We spent several months down in London supporting Sure Start to do a consultancy and work with helping them to generate work around fathers. And we worked in Winson Green Prison supporting dads who were inside trying to still be involved in their children's lives. Our next 3 businesses were quite short, based on a particular opportunity that we had. First of all was computer recycling. Then we had FOWSAP, Free at Last Services and Products. And that was a website that was offering discounts off businesses. We became a middleman of selling information and products through our website. And then Rebuild was one of the first ones, and that was about the building, offering the labour where clients could go and get the materials themselves to save money. We also have started businesses or income generators when there's been a need. That includes Cheap, which is community healthy eating at affordable prices. Then after COVID, we opened up our own cafe. And the cafe again was there to try and provide a need. Sadly, the need wasn't a social need, it was a local workman need, and so it didn't generate enough income. We've also looked at working in partnership with other organisations, and one of those was through the Barrow Cadbury Trust, working with or supporting lots of organisations in the inner city of Birmingham. We also worked with some other businesses, and we created ID8, and this was about supporting professional, particularly football players, but other sports people who had lived their dream, retired, but needed a new dream. FAF3 is an ongoing business or fundraising project. And FAF started because we looked at what are some of the needs of our young people. We then also recognised that the opportunities that young people face are very limited compared to those of more affluent families and areas. And so how could we look at combining both? So we created, together with the young people, Opportunity Knocks, and faff free. And the idea is that Opportunity Knocks is about people offering opportunities, whether it's a restaurant meal, whether it's a music lesson, whether it's a work experience, whether it's a flight in a plane, lots of things that people from Nechells wouldn't normally get a chance to do. So Faff Free became a business where if you've got things you want to sell but you can't be bothered with the faff, then we'll sell it on your behalf, give you 40% of what we make. 30% goes to the young person who does all the work and the selling, 20% goes back into the business for the running costs, and 10% is the donation to Free at Last. So in order to give that a boost, then the 3 young ladies who started this business went and did a presentation, and they were awarded a £10,000 grant to start Faff Free. That's evolved to a way that now the young people in the youth club are involved with the selling, and whether it's on Vinted or eBay, then the young people not only get some of that money back through trips and through residentials, but also it supports the ongoing work of the youth club. 15 or so years ago, we had the opportunity to work with Star City. They had an empty space and they wanted to work with us to offer holiday club activities. So we created a package where people could come and bring their children and young people and leave them with us as youth workers, and we could run those holiday activities that were paid for. That didn't quite work. We then decided actually this could work. We could use the space to do something better. And Star City were more than happy for 14 years to support us with the creation of the Family Fun Zone. Family Fun Zone had 4 different activities. It had the soft play, it had arts and crafts, but it also had archery and shooting little airsoft balls at tin cans. Now for 14 years, Family Fun Zone worked at Star City. Sadly, it had to close. I don't think it really quite recovered from COVID. But what we do know is that it put £250,000 worth of profit into Free at Last. And more importantly for us, it employed 39 teenagers, many of which were from Nechells and came through Free at Last. But we have opened up a new Family Fun Zone down in London, in a shopping centre. We looked at lots of shopping centres, and this is the first one where the council who own the centre were exceptionally supportive and enabled us to be able to open up there in an old Debenhams. And hopefully one day we can have family fun zones in shopping centres all around the country. In 2019, a group of young people in the youth club asked whether we could help them to earn some money for Christmas time. And as we have an entrepreneurial workshop, and the aim is to teach young people craft skills so that then they can monetize it to generate income for themselves, then we were more than happy to help them. So these young people started by doing some jewellery, and we put some kits together and we went out onto a market stall, and they all earned £47 each. So come the start of 2020, we sat down and started to look at how we could generate a business that reached a gap in the market, and they came up with the fact that tourism in Birmingham at that time meant that you couldn't really buy a tea towel or a jumper or something that said I love Brum. So we created Brum Ting. We created the website, we got the branding, and you can see from some of the imagery how that evolved from the different colours to creating caricatures of the young people, to getting other people involved like the wonderful Sue Verity, who was helping us with a variety of different designs as well. And during the Commonwealth Games, they had a marquee in the city centre, and they sold £16,000 worth of products to tourists and local Brummies over the 8 days. Absolutely fantastic, successful. Adventurous activities have been a big part of Free at Last right from the beginning. So back in 2000 we decided that we would get qualified in as many activities as we could and start running regular sessions. Over the years that evolved to 2005 when we started businesses, and so Freaks Adventures began. Freaks Went on for 14 years and provided a wide variety of activities, from corporate kidnaps to hen and stag do's in places all around the country. As a mobile company, we worked on a lot of school sites, delivering overnight residentials for them and day activities. We did a huge amount of team building for businesses to enable their leadership to be able to grow and to recognise their strengths and skills, right through to axe throwing and archery at weddings. We did a wide variety of expedition, bushcraft, Prince's Trust residentials, working with so many different people over those 14 years. During COVID, Freaks had to stop, and it's something that we have continued, as we've still got all of the kit that we are using for Free at Last. So children and young people still get the opportunity to work with adventurous activities. Another way of generating income is to have something that is specific for a reason, which may or may not be time limited. And Hope Soap is one of those examples. We spent 3 years taking a group of young people to Bulgaria to support an organisation called FSCI, and they were helping young people who were kicked out of orphanages at the age of 18 with nowhere to go. One of those houses of opportunity that they had, which is where the Hope Soap comes from, was a place where they were making soap to try and sell as young people. So several of our supporters came along and started the Hope Soap brand in Birmingham. We started to make soap from scratch, and then went right the way through to pitching to hotels in Birmingham city centre and selling soap as part of the favours that hotels provide for their clients. And then we went over to Bulgaria with a couple of our supporters who helped both FSCI and the young people to learn from the skills that we'd had. So you've been on a whistle-stop tour of Free at Last's businesses and the way in which we try to generate income to make us self-sustainable. So if any of these ideas, if anything that you've come across that you see you can get involved with, then you're more than welcome to come and help us and work with us on either our existing 3 businesses or on anything new, so that we can become more sustainable as an organisation and keep doing the things that we do best, improving the lives of the children and young people in Nechells.